Jack and the Beanstalk. How a small fellow solved a big problem. Retold and illustrated by Albert Lawrence with Joy Schley. Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, a poor woman lived with her only son, Jack. Their humble cottage and a cow were their only possessions. One morning, the cow did not give milk. "Jack, you must take the cow and sell her," said his mother. So Jack harnessed the cow and set off to town. Along the way, he met a man. "Good day. Where are you going this morning?" asked the man. "I'm going to town to sell my cow," Jack answered. "I would be very happy to buy your cow and save you the trip," said the man. "How much will you give me?" asked Jack. "I will give you these," said the man, holding out his hand. "Beans? Beans for my cow?" questioned Jack. "Not just any old beans, magic beans," whispered the man. "Magic beans? I'll take them," said Jack. So the man walked away with the cow, and Jack ran all the way home with the magic beans. "Mother, look at what I got for the cow!" exclaimed Jack. "Magic beans!" "Magic beans? What is their magic?" asked his mother. Jack scratched his head. He did not know. "Beans for our cow? Jack, how could you do such a foolish thing?" cried his mother. She took the beans, threw them out the window, and sent Jack to bed. The next morning when Jack awoke, his room was filled with large green leaves. The leaves had sprouted from a gigantic beanstalk that was growing right outside his window. It reached up into the sky as far as Jack could see. "They were magic beans," whooped Jack. He immediately began to climb the beanstalk. Jack climbed and climbed up through the clouds until he reached a gigantic castle. Outside the castle door stood an enormous woman. "Good morning," said Jack. "I'm so hungry. Can you spare me a bit of breakfast?" "You want breakfast, do you?" she roared. "You'll be breakfast if you're not careful. My husband the giant is even bigger and taller than I am. He loves to eat boys like you for breakfast. He likes them so much he has them for lunch and dinner too." She laughed so loudly Jack's ears hurt. Then the giant's wife looked down at poor little Jack and said, "Oh, all right. Come into the kitchen and I'll give you some sour milk and stale bread." As Jack ate, the castle began to quake, shake, and shudder. The giant was on his way home, thumping the ground with his great big feet. "Boy, if you don't want to be eaten, go and hide somewhere," said the giant's wife. "Now!" Jack quickly leapt off the table and did as she bid. "Good morning, husband. Come into the kitchen and eat your breakfast," said the wife. The giant stomped in and, sniffing the air with his great big nose, roared, "Fee, fee, fi, fi, fo, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "No, no, my dear," said the giant's wife. "I think you are still smelling that rascal you ate yesterday. Sit down and eat your breakfast. I cooked you 2 cows, 12 chickens, and 50 pounds of potatoes. If you don't eat, you'll shrink." Jack watched from his hiding place as the giant sat and ate his breakfast. When the giant finished eating, he took out a sack filled with gold coins and began to count them. As he counted, he began to yawn and soon fell sound asleep. Quietly, Jack crept from his hiding place and tried to lift the sack of coins. The gold was much too heavy. Jack had an idea. He made a cart from buttons, knitting needles, and kitchen string. He heaved the sack of gold onto the cart and rolled it across the table. Then Jack lowered the sack and the cart to the floor using a block and tackle he made from buttons, more string, needles, and 2 bones. Jack wheeled the gold to the beanstalk and dropped the sack down through the clouds to the ground below. "Mother! Mother!" Jack called when he had climbed down. "Look! Oh my goodness! Now I can fill the cupboard with food," exclaimed Jack's mother. "And we can buy some chairs to sit on and some clothes and a wagon and coal for the fire," Jack added excitedly. They lived frugally, but after a time the gold was spent. Jack decided to visit the giant's castle again. This time, he made sure he brought the proper equipment. Jack crept silently into the castle and found a hiding place. "I smell that rascal who stole our gold, husband," said the giant's wife. "When I find him, I shall have him for supper," growled the giant. "Fee, fee, fi, fi, fo, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." The giant and his wife searched the castle from the highest turret to the deepest dungeon, but they could not find Jack. So they sat down for breakfast. After they were through stuffing themselves, the giant said to his wife, "Bring the hen that lays the golden eggs." When the hen was sat in front of him, the giant commanded, "Lay." The hen squawked and laid an egg of solid gold. After so heavy a meal, the giant and his wife soon fell asleep. Jack jumped from his hiding place. He took a napkin and made a hood to cover the hen's head so it would not be frightened. Jack then strapped the bird into the wife's sewing basket. He attached buttons to the basket for wheels, then lowered it to the floor. Jack rolled the basket to the beanstalk, lowered it to the ground, and then climbed down himself. Jack and his mother were now quite wealthy. No matter how hard he tried, Jack could not stop thinking about the giant and his castle. He decided to climb the beanstalk for a 3rd time. When he arrived at the castle, he hid once again. The moment they smelled him, the giant and his wife roared together, "Fee, fee, fi, fi, fo, fo, fum. We smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, we'll grind his bones to make our bread." But they could not find Jack. After supper, the giant called for his golden harp. The giant slapped the table and commanded, "Sing, harp, sing." The harp gently sang the giant and his wife to sleep. Jack crept up behind the harp and signaled him to be quiet. "I'll take you to a much more pleasant place to live," he said. The harp quickly agreed. Jack lashed buttons for wheels to the harp and pulled it toward the beanstalk. On the way, Jack tripped, and both he and the golden harp fell. "Ouch!" the harp cried. This commotion woke the giant and his wife. They raced toward the sound and spied Jack just as he was lowering the harp to the ground. Jack scurried down the beanstalk with the giant and his wife right behind. As soon as he reached the ground, Jack took an axe from his backpack and called, "Mother, Mother, come quick!" With a thunderous crash, the beanstalk fell across the countryside into the sea. Both the giant and his wife disappeared beneath the waves and were never seen again. Jack and his mother shared their wealth with the entire town, and everyone lived happily ever after. The end.